Hello, everyone. You just heard the song World's Hardest Game by DJ Dave, which is an excellent example of Algorave. Algorave is a portmanteau of algorithm and rave that describes an electronic music event where people watch live coding performances. The term was originally coined by Alex McLean, a musician and software developer who created the live coding environment TidalCycles and his offshoot Strudel, the two most popular tools used by live coders. On this week's episode, we're going to discuss how Brian Eno, Alex McLean, DJ Dave, and Switch Angel have each contributed to the movement. Was Algorave something you were familiar with before this week?
No, not really at all. I listen to music that I think is like adjacent to it, or at least have gone through like a phase in the last couple of years where I'm listening to a lot of electronic, but no, I wasn't really aware of this genre at all.
Yeah, I mean, I came to come up with this idea for this episode because I learned DJ Dave was coming to town.
Yeah.
We went to her concert, but I was like, oh, what genre is she? Because I was, thinking maybe I could try to get her to come on as a guest. I didn't hear back, but I learned what Algorave was just through like exploring. And originally I was like, oh, is this algorithmic music? And then I came across that term and I think it describes it the best.
Yeah, because we'll get more into the process, but she's live coding and not like the algorithm isn't building the music for her. She's building it through code, which is cool. But
yeah. But before we move on, I just want to do a brief call to action. So, it's really helpful to get feedback, especially like comments, which you can make on Spotify, on YouTube, on Patreon. Like, I try to gauge comments and likes to try to figure out what content people are most enthusiastic about and what types of topics we should do in the future. So wherever you're listening, if you do have a way to engage, like, please give us that feedback. The small things do matter, like likes alone. Like if a Patreon episode gets a lot of likes, I know it was a good one.
Yeah. So Algorave origins, we can kind of start with Brian Eno. Brian Eno, he's an English musician and producer, and he describes himself as a non-musician. He produced albums for U2 and David Bowie, The Talking Heads, Coldplay, a lot of really famous artists from the UK. And he's, best known as a pioneer of ambient music. And he's one of pop music's most influential figures. He coined the term ambient music in 1978 with his record Ambient 1, Music for Airports. It features atmospheric, almost never-ending tracks, perfect for the background of like an airport.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do want to play one of his tracks from One of One that he put out as part of his ambient series. We're going to play that now. So this was produced using analog methods. It was not actually made using coding like all of the other songs we're going to discuss today.
Right. Yeah, it really does sound like music that should have come like decades later.
Yeah, I have like vague acquaintances that I know who make electronic music with synths, and it sounds exactly like this. I mean, that says more about him being that innovative at the time than it does, the people making music that sounds like it today.
Right. I don't listen to Brian Eno very much at all, but he, I think, is in the opposite of a lot of artists for me, where I know his name so much more than what his actual music is. Like, I feel like I hear his name all the time.
It's like Bono. You just hear it. It's very ubiquitous.
Yeah. But Eno also described this ambient music as generative. And this means that these songs were ever changing within a set of parameters, not just finite works, which, will make sense when we describe algorithmic music more. But initially he used, like you said, analog equipment. He was splicing tapes, he was looping them manually, he was running the loops of different lengths concurrently to get a phase shift. And in 1995, he began making digital music with generative software-based compositions. In 1996, he released a record titled Generative Music 1 with SSEYO or CEO, Coan Software. I love that he labeled his records like they were research projects or something, instead of, just creative names.
Yeah. I mean, I like artists in general that really stick to their naming schemas.
Yeah.
It makes their body of work very consistent. But yeah, I mean, Algorave, it can trace its roots back to this because of that, yes, generative practice where the songs were not necessarily, the composition was not always the same. Because as we're going to get to, like the code that's used for Algorave songs, it will have like written into it like sliders that can be used to make certain portions of the song louder than others, and that makes the songs a bit interactive and varied and generative as well.
Yeah, it's almost like jazz-esque in that way, where, you know, every time you play a jazz song, it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Brian Eno actually like made a couple iOS apps, like a kind of a lot of them, and they were based around making this ambient music in like creative visual ways, not just like through understanding music. They're usually like blobs that you're tapping and moving around, and that's also very fun. Like he's very dedicated to this idea of like thinking about music in a different way. That's why he describes himself as a non-musician.
Yeah. And someone else who, I mean, he doesn't call himself a non-musician, but he's actually relatively similar to Brian Eno, is Alex McLean. He goes by the moniker Yaksu for his music, but he's the person who you can really attribute Algorave to. He is a British electronic musician and software developer, and he both coined the term Algorave and developed the software that is the most popular, TidalCycles. TidalCycles was originally just called Tidal, but then they changed it because of that app that Beyonce
Jay-Z
promoted, Jay-Z created, and he started Tidal in 2009 while he was a postgrad student at Goldsmiths in London. And he like continued to develop that over the course of the next decade. And the software is entirely open source. He relies on donations to support himself. So he's more famous within Algorave, say from a technical perspective, for creating this live coding environment than his actual music. But I listened to a lot of interviews and read a lot of interviews by him for this week, and he comes across as the type of person that I've encountered in makerspaces where he's more excited about, say, how engineering can be used to produce creative works and working on those engineering projects and the actual creative works themselves.
Right. Yeah, it is. That's like obviously where he is so similar to Brian Eno, where he's not just an artist because of the music that he's ending up with. It's about the process and the innovation that they have to create the music that they're making. That's what makes them so talented. Yeah.
And TidalCycles as a live coding environment is really interesting.
Right.
You know, I don't code. I know you have a bit more experience than me, but I did take a few classes in undergrad, so I was able to kind of glean how it works. But basically, the code that's written in TidalCycles, it can be coded to be live and execute in loops over and over again. So if you change a note from an E to an F, you're going to immediately hear a difference. And according to TidalCycles' own documentation, you make music with Tidal by creating patterns. That's the foundation for the program. And they usually get names designated from D1 to D16. And it's very intuitive. Most people who come and start using TidalCycles, they might have some, you know, coding or music experience, but many have neither. But it's an intuitive way to learn both at the same time.
Yeah. It's very ingenious, the combination of features that TidalCycles has, or like the live editing and the visuals. Those are all things that you can utilize in other languages if you like try hard enough and you like have enough add-ons in your IDE or whatever. But making them front and center in Tidal is really what allows this genre to take off and be successful.
Yeah. And it has a domain-specific language, but it's embedded in Haskell. So even people who have, you know, prior coding experience, they're going to have to learn a little bit to use the program. You can't come into it with, say, years doing Python and then jump into it and know everything.
Yeah, that's the nature of programming in any language, though. You understand like the logic and how stuff moves around, but you don't know the syntax of how you're writing stuff.
Yeah. What languages do you have experience in?
Python and Java. Well, there's this like, I don't know. It's like called Scala, but it's like basically Java. It's like it's like scalable Java. And then C is my favorite. So
yeah. C is older.
It's
probably where you like it. Yeah. When I was in library school, I took a Python class, and then I took 2 on databases. So I learned NoSQL and SQL.
Yeah.
And I like the database classes a lot. But I've learned that AI is able to do all the like CRUD, all the basic things really easily now. So it's the need for that kind of programmer is kind of getting phased out.
SQL is something I need to like just teach myself for like a week or something so I can say that I know it, but I've never like actually officially worked with it.
I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, it seems interesting. It seems like something that I would like, that at least in the topic. But
yeah,
like we were saying though, TidalCycles, there's now about a dozen languages derived from it, and Strudel is the most popular.
Yeah, Strudel is the JavaScript version of TidalCycles. You can actually run it through a web browser by going to strudel.cc. It's really easy to access. You don't need to make an account or anything either.
Mm-hmm.
You can just start typing in and playing around with it, which I did a little bit this week. And it's this really cool tool. I've actually been thinking of maybe doing a workshop series at the library around it because I think the public would be into it.
Yeah, that is a great idea. It's a good thing for a library.
Yeah, because we largely, we only really use like free software programs.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be like something that I could offer really easily.
Right. And it really lends itself to just like that knowledge. Like, Brian, is creating iOS apps that are very simplified. And maybe Alex McLean is creating something that's a little bit more complex and not as like fun, but it is, it is lending itself to someone that wants to learn and experiment and create things for free.
Yeah. So Alex McLean, he started to work on what later became TidalCycles in 2009. And then Algorave, which describes an event more so than a genre or a subgenre, he first coined that term in 2011, and then the first actual Algorave happened at the Super Collider Symposium in 2012. And there's videos of it online. It doesn't really resemble an actual rave because this, he created this portmanteau. The Algorave community is not derivative of the actual rave community. They arose independently. But a good description of it can be found in Live Coding, a user's manual. This is something that was co-written by Alex McLean. And it's a bit lengthier of a description than I think is needed, but the first 3 points it makes, I think, describe what an Algorave is best. So it is writing software in real time, changing a program while it is running, and projecting the screen for the audience to participate in. The visual projection is really important.
Yeah.
Like, the DJ Dave concert we're going to talk about, the entire time, every song that was played, you could see what she was working on as she was working on it.
Right. And I think that is perfect for this type of thing where, I don't know, rave visuals are often like very corny and they're kind of like a meme online, I feel like. Yeah. And it's so serious and unpretentious to just like have what you're making on the screen. Like you would never see someone like a regular DJ doing that with whatever's on their screen. There's
someone I follow on Instagram who's like super into EDM, and he was at a Grizz concert yesterday. And it was crazy seeing what it was like. Like hundreds of lasers and flames getting shot out.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch, live coding than that.
I was at the Indy 500 yesterday, and there was a rave going on in like what they call the snake pit, I guess. And it was just so funny that there's cars racing around at over 200 miles an hour for 2 hours. And if you just turn around, there's just this giant stage with like dragons blowing fire on the crowd.
Yeah, that's also not a place you want to be like dancing and getting sweaty, and because you're breathing in all of the car exhaust and the tire burn.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, but back to Alex McLean. His music has remained pretty obscure, and I don't think he's really aiming to be like this pop star or have like a really lucrative musical career. He said in this interview with The Guardian that other people are using TidalCycles to make music that is probably better than mine. Like he's not trying to be commercially successful, but he falls through the same trappings along with most Algorave artists that electronic musicians do just generally. Like they often have musical projects that are faceless. They don't put a lot into self-promotion, and then they only post their music to SoundCloud. Like Yaksu, if you type it in, nothing comes up on Spotify.
Wow.
This goes for a lot of Algorave artists. Other than DJ Dave, who we're going to focus on a lot in the next section, there's Switch Angel and then Little Data. Are you familiar with PC music?
No, I'm not really.
Really? Okay. Yeah. That's where hyperpop can trace its roots to. It was this like record label that began in the 2010s, and it was like originally all posted to SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And I was into it in high school. I was a very early listener.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lil Data, he was one of dozens of artists that were signed to PC Music back in the day, but he didn't get big like Hannah Diamond
Okay.
or any of the other bigger names to come out of it. But he's someone I listened to here and there over the course of my life. And I didn't realize until this week that he was also an Algorave musician and live coder.
Wow. Yeah. Hyperpop has always been one of those genres that I'll like listen to just the songs of, but I don't know who I'm listening to. Like I don't know. I'll let just Spotify tell me what to listen to.
Yeah. But do you know 100 Gex?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the biggest to come out of that. But yeah, anyway, Lil Data. I mean, those three are the only two. Like, I searched a lot. I put together a playlist for this week. It's going to be linked in the show notes. And I tried to find artists other than like...
It's mostly those three, right?
Not even Lil Data, because I actually don't think his songs are good. But I mean, other than those three, there's no one I found where their songs on Spotify have cracked 10,000. There are many where it's like they're like the number of plays aren't even listed because it's that low. And there are many that are not even listed on Spotify. Like DJ Dave, who we're going to get to, or actually along with Lil Data, she put out this really interesting academic paper called Pop Live Coding Encounters, Reflections on Practice. And she included an appendix in there of pop live coders. And I was like excited when I saw that. I was like, oh, like thank God, like someone actually compiled people who are not just like faceless SoundCloud artists.
But you have to be like the most famous live coder to find those people because they're probably coming to you.
I know.
You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I feel like I got a good scope of this phenomenon this week with just, a week and a half of research.
Right.
But I want to think, I'm missing a lot, but I don't think I really am.
No, it's like, I think it's pretty early on. Like, maybe it'll continue, but right now I don't know.
But anyway, that appendix in her article had 8 names. Only 2 of them were on Spotify. Only one of them had songs that were even like charting high enough to like list the plays.
So even the most famous live coders are still like impossible to listen to.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, part of that is because Algoraves as an event, in their purest form, they're purely improvisation. This is typically what Alex McLean does as Yaksu, where he's just up on stage. And he said in interviews, like there are things he remembers doing in other performances that he'll pull out of his hat to do again. But overall, it's not scripted quite in the same way. I mean, there's still a lot of improvisation with DJ Day, but hers is like, she has popular songs. She plays those songs. It's different than being purely like improvisational.
I mean, it's everyone's, that's why I likened it to jazz. Like it's everyone's dream to be one of those musicians that's like, oh, I don't even know music theory. But you like have to understand music theory, at least on like a little bit of, like on the basis of it. But then you also have to have these incredible improvisational skills that sound good, not just sound ridiculous. And that's a very rare combination, and it's often just more of a natural one than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I have a bigger theory I'm going to get to in a second about like why Algorave hasn't gotten bigger. But I think part of it is just that it's most of the people who are working in the genre are the Alex McLean types, where they have this fascination with the engineering processes that can be used to create creative works.
Right.
But they're not, like, they don't have the actual like passion for music, and they're getting a little bit too excited too early about what they're producing.
Yeah.
They're not pushing themselves farther to create stuff that actually sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a gateway that you have to get through to be able to become an Algorave artist. And that is like having a computer, being willing to learn how to code, or being a programmer. But I don't know a lot of programmers that are very musical. So yeah, it's there's a lot of hoops to jump through. And I think once you filter it down, a lot of them are just going to want to be engineers other than anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's helping too is just that TidalCycles used to be, the live coding environment was hard to download. You had to download all of these other things to get it to work. And now Strudel.cc, you can just go to that and start learning. It's a lot easier.
Such a great tool.
Yeah. Okay, but my bigger theory. Okay. So several years ago, I watched the documentary Clash of Cultures, The Rise of the New Electro Scene. That was for the Electro Clash episode, which documented the rise of Electro Clash. And one of the people interviewed in it, they commented that electronic music in the 1990s, it was somewhat boring to watch. The concerts would just be one person on a stage behind a DJ booth like Moby, and the music itself was good, but there was no performance element. And then Electroclash came around in the 2000s, and musicians like Peaches would dance and sing on stage, emulating sort of the presence of 1980s rock stars. They were doing more than they needed to, but the performance made the music more exciting. And then I think Algorave, it's pushing the boundaries of what Electroclash did even further, like making electronic music something that's just as invigorating to watch as analog music performances.
Yeah, I would liken it to like spinning records. Like even if you're in a small space, like I don't know, I was at the California Clipper a couple of weeks ago, and the DJ was spinning real records, and that was just so fun. Like watching them change it out. They're not just clicking on a computer, and even though Algorave artists are just clicking on a computer, that they're like doing something real and like just thinking so hard about everything. And it feels more like spinning records because they're building something with their hands.
Yeah. I mean, they often make an effort to make it interactive, particularly at the beginning of a show.
Right.
Will they be like, oh, I'm typing this in. I'm live coding. Like they'll say that very explicitly.
Yeah.
And then, as the concert progresses, they do that less and less because they know the audience understands.
Yeah. It's like film photographers like being like, oh, but also just so you know, this photo is film.
Yeah.
It looks digital, but it's film.
Yeah. But if we start with the biggest critique of electronic music, which is just say that the musicians are just pressing play on stage, like say a Grizz concert.
Yeah.
That's the most base, like least respectable from like someone who really appreciates analog's perspective. And then Electroclash gets a bit further. They're singing. Okay, that's impressive. They're also dancing. But there's still that problem of the background music, someone's just pressing play. And then I just think that Algorave, it solves every problem because then the actual music, it's generated live.
Yeah.
It's there is like this skill that has to be put into being a good live coder, and people can respect every aspect of the performance.
Right. Yeah, they're building it from the ground up. Like they're starting with a drum beat and then adding notes and going from there. It's really, really impressive.
And the most impressive artist who does that is DJ Dave.
Yeah.
We're now finally going to talk about her. So DJ Dave, real name Sarah Davis, she's an American Algorave musician who is originally from Westfield, New Jersey. And she first started learning how to live code after taking a front-end web-end development class on a whim while in college in 2019. And then she started releasing her first songs in 2020. So she only has, say, 6 or 7 years of experience with Algorave and live coding, which isn't super long given how good she is. But another thing about DJ Dave that I learned, so she has a sister named Maddie Davis, who also makes music. The second song that DJ Dave ever dropped was actually a remix of her sister's song, Can't Do This Alone. And they haven't collaborated since. I'm kind of surprised by that. It would be cool to see them like drop a music video together or something.
Yeah.
But her sister's also, talented. And then DJ Dave originally used a different live coding environment called Sonic Pi. And then she transitioned to Strudel. And then she also uses a traditional DAW, a digital audio workspace, which is generally how people compose electronic music. Very few are using like Strudel or other programs that are like for Algorave artists.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, seeing pictures of her and her sister together, I don't know, like there was like an article about it. They're like a hilarious, like classic sister like one is like alternative and one is kind of like normie, but I don't know. That it would be great if they collaborated more.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is her sister in that interview, the one with also Cool Mag, that's the one you're probably talking about. But her sister is like, I'm a like bedroom pop, like more so explicitly from the beginning saying she wants to make pop music. But then DJ Dave has like forayed into pop music and been big, like she's gotten bigger. This was something I was intuiting this week. This is a great feeling, okay? When I'm working on episodes and I start to kind of guess something and then I find out it's true, it makes me feel like all the other things I'm like sort of theorizing might be right. But that happened this week because, I was thinking about her emulating or like her live performances being in this Electroclash way, which those Electroclash artists were sort of emulating pop stars. I mean, rock was popular music in the 80s. But then I found actually this TED Talk she gave at Cornell University where she said that she's intentionally like trying to be a pop artist, and that her definition of pop music is basically just music that appeals to a very wide audience. And she's trying to make pop Algorave music or pop live coding because she's like trying to share live coding with a wider audience.
Yeah.
She has this sort of like personal mission.
Yeah, it's a very simplistic approach to what pop music is, but I think that she's right in that. And I don't know, when we were at the show that we'll talk about later, I asked you, I was like, do you like Grimes? Because it just felt like, I don't want to reduce her down to like being someone that seems like someone else from the past, but it felt like we were at a Grimes show or something. Like it was just so fun and energetic, and she's like jumping around, and she's like a perfect like classic girl pop star in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how it was sort of reminiscent of like early Grimes performances.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some from Pitchfork from many years ago when
Right.
she was first starting out. But no, I mean, I think probably like, I'm sure that DJ Dave probably was not like, I love Electroclash, I want to dance and sing
Right.
on stage. Like, no, people have been doing that long enough that like, that's where you can kind of trace it to, but that's not where like you can, like people have been getting inspired by that, and anyway, I mean, she probably is more likely to have been inspired by Grimes or other similar artists.
Yeah. That TED Talk also, the listeners should listen to it or watch it. She's so bright and like
a very
intelligent.
good speaker.
Such a good speaker, and she combines just an amazing level of like topics all in one, like pretty short TED Talk. Like she's talking about coding, she's talking about music, she's talking about just like people and what people like it's really great.
Yeah. And what's interesting too, I mean, even in that context of the TED Talk and just every interview she does, she doesn't shy away from the term Algorave. I think that's because probably it's more of a practice than a subgenre. Also, I mean, people, after Alex McLean coined it and the first Algorave started happening, like there was some press coverage, like say with The Guardian, people were covering it, but it never got buzzy in the way that say like Vaporwave did, C-Punk did,
Right.
Cottagecore did. It's not something that's embarrassing, and I think that's part of why she's like trying to share it. It's because it just never caught on.
Yeah, and a lot of those are also very nostalgic, and even though Algorave is like built on the past in some ways, it's like a true innovation.
Yeah.
That Vaporwave is just like, what if it was the 80s? Like with this fake 80s that never existed.
Yeah. In some ways, Algorave is one of the last, it has elements of being like one of that last gasps of being a true subculture, like say, like for scene kids emo.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I mean, it was early 2010s. That's kind of one of the last, no, I guess you can say it like originated online, but it just has this like real life element to it that is rare with like modern subcultures and musical genres.
Yeah, it's like a true step from things that already exist to its own thing. Like it has its own aesthetics and everything.
Yeah. So another thing that I think sort of attributes to DJ Dave's popularity are her social media posts. She gets millions of views on some of her TikToks and Instagram reels. But my way of first, finding DJ Dave's music was actually through listening to like Discover Weekly playlists. I listen to them every week. And over the years, I just had collected several of her singles. And it wasn't until World's Hardest Game came out, the first song played at the beginning of the episode, that I really loved it. And I was like, who is this? And I started to piece it together.
Yeah.
But for most people, I think it is social media, because she uploads videos where like she is in Strudel, she's showing you the code she's writing, she's enunciating the code as she writes it. And then there's also this ASMR quality because you hear her clicking on the keyboard.
Yeah. No, she's a very good performer, and it translates well to, the online
she's just
presence.
charismatic in general.
For sure. Yeah.
Like she is the type of personality that I'm not usually like a jealous person, but I'm like a little bit jealous. I'm like, I wish I was that, just like naturally.
Yeah.
Like you can tell she's just like very confident.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. Like she's like, I don't know, sometimes it's just like one of those celebrities where like, I wish I could be her friend. Like she just seems like fun to hang out with or something.
Yeah. So now we can talk about the concert that we both attended. It was at Chop Shop in Wicker Park. Did you have a good time?
I had a blast. Yeah. It was so much fun.
Yeah. It was a good venue for her because it has these really big LED screens. Like I've seen some videos of her probably earlier performances where she has to use a projector. Like, it's not a venue that's really set up for that kind of thing. But this one, it had this like huge screen behind her.
Yeah. And, that really added to the whole environment where it was like bright blue or bright green, just like blasting the crowd. And she's really great at commanding the crowd presence also. Like, I don't know, I had never been to Chop Shop for a show before, but you said that it seemed like it wasn't sold out.
No, I mean, because it had an upper level that I didn't see people on.
I think it was like closed or something. I don't know. Like maybe there weren't enough tickets for them to open it up.
Yeah, so I mean, it might not have been like a sold out concert. Yeah. The crowd still had a good energy.
But yeah, it felt like it could have been sold out. Everyone was super stoked to be there.
Yeah. So her performance, it started out with a live intro. This is not a song that she's released, but she does this with every performance where she starts out, coding all of the notes individually, really doing everything from scratch to give people an idea of how the like longer, more complex songs have been created.
Yeah.
And then she transitioned to Airglow. That was the first that she played. And I'll put a clip in now. What did you think of Airglow?
I really like this song. I think this might be one of my favorites. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of her 5 biggest songs.
Yeah.
I really like this one. It has some really good like drops and it's really energetic.
Yeah.
And I think the visuals for Airglow, like they were my favorite for the entire performance.
Right.
She uses what are called like visualization methods in Strudel to make, what's on the screen more exciting to look at. These include punch card. Punch card is like sort of emulating the very first way people would code with computers in the 50s and 60s, where like you would just have like blocks and then the computers would compute in these cutout squares in the paper. And so every note, it will like go across the screen as just like a square. I'm not explaining it that well, but it's cool to look at.
It also is reminiscent. It's kind of funny how it lines up where it's both old punch cards for computers, but it also is like that software that if you were building a song, like you have all the notes.
Like a DAW.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it just emulates a DAW in general.
That makes sense.
So I don't know. It's a good crossover.
Yeah. There are other visualizers she'd use sometimes. These are scripted already into Strudel. These are not like novel ways of visualization that she came up with, but they're piano roll, scope, pitch wheel. They're different options. And then another way that she sort of harkened back to like OG computer aesthetics is like that song. A lot of the songs were this very particular shade of blue, like blue screen of death. Can you describe what that is?
Blue screen of death is like if your Windows computer crashes and it gives you like a sad face with a bright blue screen, but it's like perfect blue. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's really emblematic. The episode artwork we're going to use, which actually was taken by one of our listeners, Sam. He went to the concert. Like I just like posted on Instagram that I was going and I was trying to find other people and he said he was coming. But yeah, he went right up to the front of the concert to get that picture of her.
Yeah, he was having a blast, just like us. He was having a really great time. He was. I wish I went up there with him because I just love being. In the pit.
I should have followed him. I've never been like at the stage for a concert. Yeah. I should see what that's like. But I bet people are pressing into you.
Yeah, but that's part of it. I think the pit is the most fun place to be at a show.
And also, we had another friend, Christian, also another listener. Thank you. Yeah. We ran into him there. He's a friend from undergrad.
Yeah. They were both really sweet. It was fun to hang out with them and meet them.
Yeah. The next song we can talk about is Fail Safe. I'll play the drop now. How do you like Fail Safe?
I think I've been listening to Failsafe the most the last couple of weeks since this show. And it was actually, the first time that she had ever played it live, which was, such a cool thing to see. Like, it's always fun to see someone perform a song for the first time.
It literally came out the day before.
Yeah. And I really think that you can see the progression in her music through this song. Like I haven't been following her for years, but if you listen to the music from the past couple years, this song feels so much more mature and just like well put together, and the understanding of her own sound with it.
She's getting better and better.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely does not feel like she's past her peak, or like Failsafe is going to be her best song of all time. Like, she'll probably have even bigger hits. But I was really excited for Failsafe to come out because actually I saw her like go through the process of making this song over the last like month or two. Because she'd posted this clip or this Instagram story of her where she was hanging out with Switch Angel, who we're going to get to next. And apparently in the first 15 minutes of hanging out with her, she had written the drop for Failsafe. And she was like literally like gushing. She was like, oh, this is so good. And I could tell, I was like, this is going to be her next big hit. And then over the next like couple of weeks, like she'd post like sort of her working on it in progress as different Instagram reels. Like there's one from April 9th, one from May 4th.
Right.
Like you see her add like lyrics in between. And then it came out on May 8th, the day before her concert. So I just love this song though. It's like really high energy. It was written in this way that was like very intuitive. Do you want to read that quote from Acid Stag?
Yeah, sure. She said in this interview, when making Failsafe, I wanted to see where it would take the song if I really just let random modifiers define some of the most prominent sounds, like the bass line and lead melody in the chorus. The lead melody itself was a random pattern that came from a C sharp minor pentatonic scale, and I really feel like it tied the whole track together. This one felt like a true collaboration between myself and the computer.
Yeah. So when you're on stage, there's this element of improvisation, but also when you're creating it, where she's just like letting the code sort of be generative and playing around with it. There's this big element of play.
I think that that's maybe why I think that this song feels so mature, is that it doesn't sound like an Algorave song. Like it sounds like a song that was made traditionally, like with regular DJ tools.
Yeah. I always think though that her songs have this like layer of complexity to them that is only achievable through live coding, because the patterns in the program, they allow you to switch really quickly. If you were doing this all manually, it would be exhausting to do it in a traditional DAW. It would take like so long. But if you're like letting the program do it, I mean, she was able to make the drop for Failsafe in 15 minutes and it sounds amazing. Like every song, it just has, like, to me as someone who listens to electronic music a lot, it just sounds really complex.
Yeah, it obviously still is an Algorave song, but I don't know, she's just so deep into it that like I think it would take a very long time for someone to emulate this sound. Like she is really getting down to it. Yeah.
And then her final song for the concert, it was Hard Refresh. This is the most famous song of DJ Dave's. It's gotten the most plays. And we would be remiss not to talk about it, so I'm going to play it now. And this song is pretty emblematic of most DJ Dave tracks in that it seems in the lyrics to be alluding to a breakup. The voice becomes distorted later on in the track to the point where you can't really hear the lyrics clearly. And there are several really amazing drops. But one of the ways that DJ Dave is accomplishing her mission of bringing like live coding to a pop audience is that like her lyrics, they always do just focus on what pop music does, which is just love. And this isn't a critique or anything, but they're not like especially deep. Like you can't really discern any narrative, and they all seem to be about the same thing.
I guess this might have been the song when I asked you if you listened to Grimes, because it does feel a bit like a Grimes song, but it's her best song. Like on paper, like it's a pop song. It's just so fun. It's a great song to listen to. You can listen to it. I've listened to it a couple times, several times in a row, and it's just always fun. It just gets me going. I don't know. It's great for a walk.
I mean, I listen to her all the time. Like last year, DJ Dave was my fourth most listened to artist, and then World's Hardest Game was my number one song according to Spotify.
Yeah, maybe she'll find her way into my Spotify Wrapped next year.
And now we can just like show some additional, more loosely connected thoughts on the concert. So the transitions between songs, they lasted quite a while. Like it would take a minute or two, or maybe even 3 sometimes. I don't know how long it was, but like there would be these periods in between songs where it'd be like, I have no idea what she's playing next. Like what I'm hearing now doesn't sound like the last song, and it also wouldn't sound like the next song.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just interesting to note because electronic musicians in general are really critiqued to have smooth transitions. They're often lambasted if they screw up. Like the 2 openers for the show, Leo Casper and Avas, they were both like, more traditional electronic musicians working by spinning records or with DAWs. And both Christian and Sam were turning to me being like, oh, they screwed up.
Yeah. There was one time, there was one moment in the Abbas section of the show that I was like, whoa, like this transition is like not going well. But they like totally turned it around by the end of the show. Like their stage presence is just spectacular. Even though it's not very loud and in your face, like there's just something about how cool you said, like they're just so naturally cool or something like that.
Yeah. No, Avas, not a big artist. She's a local musician who I've gotten into since that concert. Great songs. Like there's this one duo I've been listening to a lot on Spotify. But yeah, I mean, I don't go to a lot of concerts, so it's just interesting to like learn people are really critiquing those transitions as much as they are.
The first guy that played, it was like he was going when we first got there, and he was a little bit more like someone that you would see at a bar. Like he was doing like LCD sound system.
Yeah, more of a pure DJ.
Yeah.
Like Avas is actually composing her own music to some degree.
Right. And that's, not one is better than the other, but Avas was like just really, really entertaining. And, once DJ Dave started, I was really thinking about a lot. One of my favorite parts of seeing any show is watching them do something that they're like just so good at. And everyone's very good. Every artist is very good at what they do, but sometimes like you just see a show and you're like, they are like masters of this craft. And I don't know, that style of performance is just really special because you get to see it built up from the ground up. And she started, like you were saying with that intro, and it's just the beat, and then you see the punch card come in, and it just really got you amped up. Like I don't know many of her songs at all, and I especially didn't know that many earlier this month when we saw her. But I was like just so amped. I was like, I can't wait to hear what she's about to make the whole time. And it reminded me of this artist, Sydney Gish. Do you know Sydney Gish? No,
but I did. You shared a cover that she did, and I did check it out.
She did a cover of Starfucker, Ronald Gregory Erickson II. It's like their most famous song, which, I don't know, maybe, do you know that song?
I do know Star Word.
And she did that song live for one of her tours a couple years ago, and she does loop pedals at all of her shows. So it's just her on a stage doing a loop pedal. And it reminded me a lot of that. Like you hear the guitar, and then you hear the drums, and then it all comes together at a certain point.
Yeah. I mean, after looking into as many Algorave musicians as I could this whole week, I can safely say she's the best at her craft in the world.
For sure.
So it's always impressive to see someone who's like literally the best. And her craft is so unknown. And I brought you. Christian came not really knowing who she was either, and it was just like interesting that all these people were seeing her like not knowing that she's as good as she is.
I know. I want to know what the like percentage was, because everyone was loving the show. Like everyone was having a great time in the crowd. So I want to know what the percentage was of people that were like real serious DJ Dave fans.
And then just one final thing to note about the concert: she did have at least one technical issue, because the next day, she shared some clips on her Instagram story that people had posted and tagged her. And there was one point during World's Hardest Game where she like screwed up in some way, and she put the like hashtag debugging while singing. I listened to interviews where she said like, oh, this happens once or twice every concert. But that's also kind of what you're paying for. It's the improvisation. the fact that it's not just someone pressing play. Like, it's okay if she messed up because that's kind of what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's what making music is. Like if she could have just gone on Spotify and played her music. If like, no one would ever want that.
No. And then next we can talk about Switch Angel. So this episode for us was a little bit of a stretch. Alex McLean, DJ Dave, Switch Angel. Those are kind of beyond them, everyone is like really obscure.
Yeah.
I'm really glad Switch Angel is doing what she did so that we had enough to do an episode. But yeah, she is not as well known. I've found a couple interviews, just 2, but overall has not spoken to the media as much. But I was able to find out she's based in Boston, Massachusetts. She seems to have a longer history of just making music in general, particularly electronic music.
Mm-hmm.
And she's actually one of the developers of Strudel, so she knows it really, really well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And Switch Angel, she's not quite in the same lane as DJ Dave. I mean, they're not trying to do the same thing. Switch Angel, she's kind of marketing her way in some ways as a streamer. Like, her Instagram profile picture is of an anime character.
Yeah.
Most of her videos have that like purple bisexual lighting that just screams gamer.
Yeah, her whole aesthetic reminds me of a lot of people that I studied computer science with. Like it's very common.
It's like a very 2020s quarantine aesthetic.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, she's drawing people in because of that. I mean, her content is doing just as good on social media because it's also just as well engineered in this like ASMR way.
Right. And, the different aesthetic, is popular for other people than, DJ Jade's audience.
Yeah.
So.
But let's play an actual Switch Angel song. So this is In the Beginning There Was Trance.
In the beginning, there were 5 notes, 0, 4, 0, 9, 7, 16 notes in the scale of G minor. Subtract 1 octave. The sound was a sawtooth wave, tamed with acid. Visualize the lead. Next, kick drum, trance kick drum, 4 on the floor, with the scope. Increase the power by ducking our lead with the kick. Targets 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, bass.
So it starts out with this really amazing opening. In the beginning, there were 5 notes based. And then, I would say like Switch Angel and DJ Dave, they do have somewhat similar instrumentals, very electronic. They appeal to me as someone who just likes techno-ish stuff. But their vocals are completely different. So they don't really sing. They're always enunciating what they're doing in one way or another. Like with this one, she's describing what she's coding in Strudel as the song progresses.
Yeah.
And in general, she just has this really smooth voice.
Yeah. Her style of vocals really reminds me of like some house songs like Take It Off by Fisher. Do you know that song?
No, I don't know Fisher.
Okay. Yeah. It's like pretty pop. I think it came out just a few years ago, but it's like really, really popular. I like won the best house song or something like this, some awards. But I don't know. It's a popular house song, but the style of vocals is almost identical to that song.
Yeah, I really like when people talk over electronic music. That's something that you see in Electroclash. Rapping is in some ways kind of like that. I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
But if you're just like talking over music, that's just like so undervalued. I love those songs like that for some reason.
Right. I would be interested to see like when she's performing, is she literally singing into a mic like DJ Dave, or are those like tracks that she has that she's adding in?
I don't think she sings in really any of her songs.
That's not her?
The ones...
Like that's not her talking?
Oh, no, it's her talking.
Okay.
But yeah.
But I mean, like, okay, I guess I meant singing, like, as in, like, those vocals. Is she adding those vocals with a microphone?
No, she's doing it herself.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. I mean, every video on social media, like, she's the one speaking into the mic.
Yeah.
And she enunciates in different ways. Like, in the song we played, that's her enunciating what she's doing in Strudel. There's another song I really like by her that's on the Algorave playlist I made. It's called Coding Trance. And in it, she's sort of describing the emotion she's trying to convey with each element of the song she changes. Like she'll say power, control, chaos.
Yeah.
And she's just like trying to evoke that instead. And I think that's also really effective.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, as a non-coder, it's easier to follow what Switch Angel is doing more so than DJ Dave. I mean, for very obvious reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
if you see DJ Dave on stage, except for the very beginning, she's not really describing what she's doing. Not that I'd think it's like super useful. I think really the main reason, I mean, I can only imagine what it's like to be really well versed in programming. Like if you say no Haskell and then you're seeing someone work in Strudel, like it must be really inspiring and it must be like really cool. I only can get so much as someone who doesn't code regularly.
Yeah. I mean, how often are you like listening to music and you're like, oh, awesome, A sharp seventh half diminished. Like, I don't know. It's very enjoyable music, but I don't know. Like, I think that the visual aspect of DJ Dave's show, if you are a programmer or have any experience in programming, definitely gives you an extra element of like, how is she going to do this thing, or how is she doing this currently?
Yeah.
And I don't write in that language at all. So I found myself honestly staring at the functions a lot and just being like, what does that function do? What does that function look like?
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty well-oiled machine where they are using a lot of just like functions. But behind that, I'm really interested to see what all those functions look like.
Yeah. I mean, I think for like DJ Dave, she just in general understands aesthetics in addition to music. I mean, she has this really cohesive look with all of her album covers for EPs and things like that. And yeah, she like knows how to tap into this like aesthetic of coding. And
right.
On an aesthetic level, it's still just like cool to watch.
Yeah. I guess I'll add in one last thought about the coding is that I was so impressed by TidalCycles and what the functionality it allows, where there were like sliders as inputs of functions, which is incredibly untraditional. Like usually it's just some value, like a word or a number that means something to that function. But having a slider like that, you literally are like clicking and moving in a function is just wild. I've never seen that before. I'm sure it's a thing in other places, but
yeah, I mean, there's this like video that circulates online sometimes where it's like people designing the worst like entry forms possible, and like one has a slider.
The one that's a slider but vertical, but it's really long side to side. That's my favorite.
Yeah. But anyway, so Switch Angel makes her own music, but I discovered this week that she actually has started her own record label. It's called Polymaters. There isn't a ton of information on it. Like the actual website for Polymaters, it just is painfully empty, and all it says is Polymaters is a record label for live code music.
Yeah.
You're able to find more information on it on Instagram. It offers more clues. Mm-hmm. So thus far, it's only promoted Switch Angel's music. And then this project called Sweet Gum, which is a collaboration between Pepin and Gija. Not like a lot of information on them either. Not super important. I'm just excited that there might be more music in the pipeline, Algorave music, live coding, that's going to get disseminated, because I think there is this lane right now that PC music left that has never been filled. And I could see like a live coding record label sort of filling this niche and being this like sort of really innovative project at a time when there's very little innovation.
Right. And hopefully by the time like DJ Dave is hitting her peak, like other people will be like where she's at now, because they're all, they'll all be rising together, which is really fun to think about.
That'd be cool. And then the final thing I just want to discuss is how Algorave and live coding, they're kind of a vestige of social computing.
Yeah, like we discussed in last week's episode, social computing is a system that supports gathering, representation, and the spread of information across social communities or organizations. Yeah.
It's a term that Joy Lisi Rankin uses a lot in A People's History of Computing in the United States. And her whole book, it's about how people in the 1960s were able to use like early computers, mainframes, and mini computers for personal reasons. And she like basically describes how at that time people were computing citizens, where they, in order to engage with computers, they had to understand the fundamentals of coding and they had to use them for creative purposes. And then starting in the 80s with actual PCs, people became computing consumers, where they just, find information and they just consume.
Right.
As opposed to creating.
Right. And Algorave, does feel like a form of social computing because, the shows themselves are social events. live coding environments are like TidalCycles is free. The process of live coding, it garners new connections and, friendships between musicians like DJ Dave and Switch Angel. I think that it definitely is social computing because of that.
Yeah. I didn't really, I'm grouping episodes with similar topics together more often, hoping that themes get built. And I didn't exactly know how Algorave would shape out or the information age and how they might be connected. But yeah, I mean, just the sort of creativity that I saw described in Dorley C. Rankin's book of people in the 1960s, like basically figuring out what computers can be used for. It's the exact same as all these Algorave musicians being like, wait, you can actually compute music with programs like TidalCycles.
I think that electronic music could have happened separately from the information age, but Algorave couldn't. Like this is born out of late stage information age.
No, that's a good point. Because I mean, early algorithmic music, like with Brian Eno, that could be done with analog methods.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that this is like a perfect segue from information age.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope people like this episode. We're not usually doing trend spotting. This, as per usual, when it happens, is kind of an accident. We're usually more retrospective, but it's cool to find something that everyone's going to be like, oh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, bye everyone. Have a good week.
Bye.